writing. So, even if you want to make a movie or a video, you have to write the script. So if you want to do a podcast, you have to probably make an outline of what you want to speak about and all of that. So sometimes I'm going to be using writing interchangeably with content creation. So I hope that when I say writing, you know that I'm still talking about content creation. So I'll be checking the charts every now and then to see if we're following. So like I said, writing is my own type of content, and I have written for as long as I can remember. I remember that there was a time, I can't remember how old I was then, but someone was talking to someone. We all lived together, and they said that each time they woke up at night, they found me writing. So I've been writing for as long as possible, and honestly, if I would be frank, I'd say that I've written practically everything that I know how to write. Because I'm the kind of person that believes that the human ability is quite vast. So you should try out different things before you niche. You shouldn't say that, maybe I just want to write poems, and then you write poems all your life. You could try, let me write fiction, let me write a play, let me write songs and all of that. And then as time goes on, you begin to find which one comes easily to you, and which one you prefer, and which one will probably make you the most money before you niche. So I'd say that I've written a lot of things. I know that I have probably written about 2 novels that are unpublished, please. They're just drafts, and I probably haven't even thought about publishing them or something. But I really like to put things down as they come to me. So that's that. And then I kept on writing. I would enter into writing competitions. I did not really win most of them, but I was thrilled about the opportunities to write. And then I would write for other people, and all of that. I know that there was a time that somebody wanted to do a last-minute assignment, and then they asked me to write a story for them to submit. I wrote it, and then when they got back, they said that many of their classmates actually copied that story. So that's that. And then how I eventually decided to monetize my writing was I think after I graduated after I got my first degree. So at the point I had to go to law school. I'm a lawyer, by the way, but today is for content creation. So as I was awaiting law school, I know that at some point a senior colleague, he just messaged me. Who knew that I wrote? That's another thing I'm going to talk about, because what's the point of creating content if people do not know that that's what you do? Because I've met quite a few people who are so, I wouldn't say ashamed, probably afraid of their own content. They feel that, let me not show this to anybody. Let me just hide it. Or maybe when I'm better at this, maybe when I've done something big, then I'll tell people. So people need to know. So because he knew that I was a content creator, he reached out to me. He said that he was doing a project. He was reviewing the ACJ, or that's the Administration of Criminal Justice Law 2015, and then he couldn't get on with it because he had other engagements, and he wanted me to just finish the review for him. It was like an holistic review. We're comparing it to what we had before. So he said, would I do it? I said yes, why not? Just send it to me. Because at that point in my life, I was just jumping on every writing opportunity I came about, because the idea of writing just excites me. Like, even if you're not going to pay me, I just want to write. So when he sent it to me, I did the work. It took some weeks, and when I sent it to him, he was so happy. He sent me money. Like, we never talked about money. He just said, can you do it? I said I could do it. So when he sent me money, just said send your bank account. He sent me money. I was like, oh really? I could make money from this. So that's when I now began to think about standardizing my process, and starting it like a business, and stopping to write for free, strict senses. So that's how I got into Houseoflivingstones. My name is Livingstones, by the way. So that's where the Houseoflivingstones came from. So that's how I got into monetizing my own, because I'm saying this because we're talking about the art, and we're talking about the business of content, of invaluable content creation. So that's how I got into it. And as time went on, I worked with organizations as a content creator, as a creative writer, and all of that. and then I got my own clients, and things have been moving since then. So that said, let's talk about are you with me? Can you just say something in the chat box every now and then, like just maybe some okay, we can hear you, right on, just something to know that I'm talking to people. So that's it. And then if there's one thing I would like you to know, oh, thank you so much. So if there's one thing I'd like us to know before we move on today, is that as a content creator, your content is invaluable as soon as you create it. So really, the problem is not about creating invaluable content. The problem is really about creating that content. It's not for you to worry about, oh, will people like it? Will people read it? Oh, should I write it? Just get it done. Write it, create it, draw it if it's a picture, make it if it's a skit or something. Create. As soon as you create it, it's invaluable. Now, what will really now determine how much value you get from it or for it, or how much value other people will get from it or for it, is how you choose to put it out. But as soon as you create it, it is invaluable and indestructible. So what many people fail to understand is that if your content does not fit one platform, it fits into another platform. So I think that the mistake that we content creators try to make most times is that we try to fit a square peg in a round hole. For instance, you've written an article for a newspaper publication. You've sent it to them. They've not responded, or they say that it doesn't match their editorial standards, or they do not want it, or they don't have space for it, or that's not what their platform is about. All you need to do is probably send it to another outlet, or publish it on your own blog or on a friend's blog, or put it on your social media. Put it in another platform if one platform does not work. But the onus is on you to actually create that content. So before I jump the gun, let me talk about the type of content that the opportunities. I said that content creation is a very vast field. So let's talk about the opportunities that we have in content creation. And I want to talk about this in particular because I observed that most of our focus is on writing. And when I say writing, I'm talking about probably writing stories, maybe short stories, probably poems to an extent. But there's so much opportunities that people are not looking at in content creation. And if you're a content creator or a content creation enthusiast and you're here today, I want you to start looking at those areas if you have not. Of course, the first thing is writing. Most of us, we call ourselves writers because we can write. Anybody that can write is a writer. So the quality of your work will now determine what kind of writer you are. That's one area. I do it too. I'm a writer as a content creator. Another area is document review. I know that many people call themselves editors, but really editing is quite complex. It's not so much about just reading a document and then saying, oh, dot your I's and cross your T's, put full stop here, put a comma here. There's something called document review. And it's a really wild, deep, and very rewarding field. I'm in that field. And it's content creation. But the only difference between that and writing is that for writing, you have to write from scratch. For document review, what you do is that what people have already written, drafts that have been written, you have it sent to you and then you rewrite it. You can call it editing, but it's not just about removing commas and adding I's or T's or something, crossing T's and dotting I's. It's about making it better. So, for instance, someone might have a topic in mind. Maybe they want to write something about what's hot? There's maybe someone wants to write about the activism of Sunday Igboho, the type of activism of Sunday Igboho. They've written probably a 200-word piece, and then they want to publish it. But before that, they want someone to look at it for them and see if it's publication worthy. So what a document reviewer does is that you will read it, and then maybe some lines are not sitting properly. Maybe there are places where they should have said maybe used a different adjective or adverb, you put it there. Maybe they should have said something, maybe given Sunday Igboho a background that they did not. You provide that background before you move into the story. Maybe there should be an introduction, or maybe the conclusion is not sitting right, or maybe there's a disjoint between one paragraph and the other. You supply those. So you basically rewrite it to make it better. That's content creation. And many people don't look at it because they think that it's edit. It's not editing. It's different from editing. So document review is one aspect you can begin to look at if you're interested in content creation. Another area is poetry writing. Of course, that one is popular. We all know that. Then there's script writing, playwriting. That field, because of the technicality of that field, I know that not many people are looking at it. But it's something that you can learn. You can take short courses. You can, if you put your mind to it. If you can write short plays, dramas, maybe you've probably written short plays in your school, in your church or something, you can begin to look at the field of script writing and playwriting. It's a very rewarding field of content creation. Those guys are cashing out big time, making money. Of course, you won't see them on the screen of the movies that are being produced. But of course, you know that because that's intellectual property they are selling. They are basically creating the movie itself and then selling it to the movie producer or the executive producer, whoever is making the movie. So they're like the pillar and the foundation of the movie, even though they are not the ones we are seeing online, on screen. So that's an aspect you can begin to look at. You could become an established script writer. It's a very rewarding field. It's a lot of hard work and it requires expertise, but it's a very good field. Then ghostwriting too. I think ghostwriting is even more popular. Ghostwriting simply means that somebody wants to write something, maybe a book, especially autobiographies and biographies themselves. Somebody wants to write a book. They probably don't have the time or the know-how, but they know what they want to write. Yes, they know what they want to write. So you're the one that would write it for them. So it just means you're working with them. For instance, I don't know how many of us have read Toke Makinwa's On Becoming. That's her autobiography. Do you really think that Toke Makinwa sat down and wrote that book? Certainly not. Ghostwriters probably wrote it for her. But ghostwriters are like they are not even like script writers, because for script writers, they acknowledge them in the at the end of the movie, yeah. But for ghostwriting, they probably do not even acknowledge them at all, but they make a lot of money. So because we're talking about the art and the business, that's why I'm talking about money, making money here. So ghostwriting is one very good field. You could write textbooks for people. There are professors, in the academia rather, who want to write books. They know what they want to write, but they haven't got the time. They know the kind of research, but they probably haven't got the time, or maybe they don't have the technical know-how, in this digital age, for them to write it. So you could be a ghostwriter. You could be freelance, and you could start your own agency. And there are ghostwriting firms. I think I know one or two. So you could team up with them, maybe on contract basis, or you could even become their staff. So you write for them. Of course, they put the name of the person paying you on the book. But if you don't mind, I mind, so I'm not a ghostwriter because I feel like so if I write for you and you pay me 2 million naira now, the book blows and you make like 50 million naira tomorrow, I can't even say a word, because a contract is a contract. So books that were written by people like Olusegun Obasanjo, all those former heads of states. Do you really think they sat down to write it? No, they did not. Ghostwriters wrote it for them. So you can be a ghostwriter. Another area that people don't look at is speech writing. You can be a speech writer. Oh my God. Do you know how many speech writers are really cashing out quietly? All those speeches that our governors read to us, that our President Muhammad Buhari reads to us, occasionally, whenever he has our time to talk, actually. They are written by speech writers. Those people do not write their own speeches. They don't have the time. They do not have the frame of mind to write their own speeches. I know that if you recall, we used to have a first lady that used to deviate from the speeches written for her. So we would know when she's the one talking and when she's not reading her script. We would know. That's how you know that speech writing is very important. It's a very key. Yeah, it's a very key aspect of content creation. And these speech writers, you probably do not even know them, you probably not even hear of them in a lifetime, but they make good money. And they are just somebody was saying something on the platform I am still on the platform. So she was saying that she's a ghostwriter, but what she makes as a ghostwriter in like a year, what she makes as a ghostwriter in like a year, can we still hear me? What she makes as a ghostwriter in like a year, she knows somebody, a friend or acquaintance, who is a speechwriter to one of these governors, and the person makes it in like a month or 3 months or 6 months or thereabouts. So speech writing is also very important. Although if you're in Nigeria, I'm of the opinion that you probably would have to murder your conscience at some point if you want to be a speechwriter. You can imagine writing that speech that was read after the EndSARS protest and the October 2020 massacre. You can imagine whoever wrote that script, and all these scripts that deny things that we already know happened in real life. So you probably have to murder your conscience if you want to be a speechwriter in Nigeria. But speechwriting is a very important aspect, of course. It's a very rewarding aspect of content creation, because you are like the brain of the governor, you are like the brain of the president, you are like you have to be, you work in sync with their mind. So that's an aspect you can look at if you're if you're interested in content creation, or if you want to diversify, if you're already an established content creator. Then social media content creation is very, very important. I know it's all over the place these days, but it's not everybody that's getting it right. So it's also a very good aspect of content creation. You would have seen job adverts looking for social media managers. So when a company employs a social media manager, the bulk of what they do is they create content for their social media. Sometimes you are also required to create graphic content, to create their flyers, their their posters and all of that. But essentially you'll be creating the captions, and it's a very important aspect of communications for organizations, because everybody is on social media these days. So it's like you are the voice of the company or the establishment, because you are the one talking to people directly on social media. Most times social media management would also include responding to queries on social media, answering questions, replying comments. I know that there was a time that one of my friends, I think he posted something, or he mentioned Fela Durotoye, and then the guy replied. So he was so happy, he screenshot it, he posted it. He was like, oh, Fela responded to me, oh my god, like he was so proud of himself. I had to tell him that I hope you know that it's probably a social media manager responding to you. So you see all those big actors and actresses, all those popular figures, you comment on their posts and they are responding to you. There are some of them that actually respond in real time, but most times it's their social media handler that's responding to people. So social media management is very important too, because you could make or mar the person with your comments, with your response to people's comments, and with the captions that you put, the posts that you put up for the person. So it's a very important aspect. I know that there are people that make up to 100K and even more also as a social media handler manager. So you could look into that. There's corporate communications. Corporate communications is very important too. It's a very important aspect of social media of content creation. For instance, if you've gone to the university, you know that they don't call them corporate communications manager or something, but there's always somebody that if something happens in the university, is the one that will address the press. If something happens, maybe a student dies, or maybe there was an examination malpractice that made the news, or somebody made the news, or the university makes the news in some way, there's always that person that is always responding, always addressing the press, always issuing press statements, always issuing the official position of the university. And then organizations too, banks, companies, they have what they call corporate communications. So it's the person that is in their corporate communications that issues their official position. For instance, the time that Dangote had that side chick, I said side, not really side chick, is not married. The time that Dangote had all these ladies coming out and saying that they are dated. Can we still hear me, please? They dated him and all of that as we entered into 2021. What corporate communications would have done, what the role of corporate communications is that, for instance, they would have put up something on the Dangote page, or maybe issued a statement on behalf of Dangote Group that, we dissociate ourselves from so. It is the work of our enemies to malign us, to blah blah blah. So things like that. Corporate communications too, and they are the ones that probably issue like all these banks, how they send to you that, do not divulge your information to 419 people, do not give anybody your BVN, we will not request your BVN from people. So the way all those things are couched and the way they are put out, this is the work of a content creator. So you see that content creators, you can always find expression anywhere. We're like water. Content creators are like water. So wherever you get to, you find the expression. You can take form, you can take shape. So there's a corporate email management. It's like corporate communications too. So most of the emails we get from companies, they are not necessarily from the manager. When you see Access Bank send you a message and it's signed by Herbert Wigwe does not necessarily have the time to talk to everybody that's an Access Bank customer. It's probably the guys in corporate email management that have drafted the email and put his name after he has approved it and looked at it. So corporate email management is important. You can do that for startups too. Like maybe when by the time the central bank issues a policy or something. Can we still hear me? Please. By the time central bank issues a policy, and by the time they change their policy or something, or make a decision, it's the guys in corporate email management that will send you a message for your piggy vest account and say that, regarding this so, please be at rest. Of course, the management would have to tell them to issue it, but it's those guys that would actually create those emails and send it to you that, be at rest, your money is safe with us, this and that. So corporate email management is corporate communications, I said that, and I said corporate email management, so it's very important. Another aspect is lyric writing. So being a lyricist, I'm sure and certain that you all know that it's a huge cash cow in this 2021. Like, the way music is really the big thing now. Like, you could literally be in point 0 today and be in point 100 tomorrow, or point 1000. You could literally blow as a musician. So many of these musicians do not write their own songs. People write the songs for them, and it's legal. It's just based on contracts. You would realize that sometimes when some of these musicians fall out, the lyricist would probably try to score a point by saying that, I wrote the song for you, you wrote the song for me. So being a lyricist is also content creation. You can be a lyricist. You could be that you know the songs to write. You can write the lines, you can write the rhymes, but you might not necessarily have the melody or the beats that you put on it. You might not want to pursue a career in music, but you could write it for other people and be paid handsomely. You just need to work out all your legal paperwork and everything, and make sure everything is tidy so that you get what you deserve. But lyric writing is also a very good aspect of content creation. Then there's copywriting, and that's also a very good aspect. Copywriting, it could be hard copy, web copy. So copywriting is also very good. You can learn it. You could take short courses on these things, and you could develop yourself. It's all about content creation. It's all about interest. Once you have the interest and you can create the time, you can literally become excellent at it and make a lot of money. It could become your art and it could become your business, as long as you're ready to commit to it. So copywriting too is very important. All these advertisements that we watch, we see online, the adverts that people place on billboards, the ones that pop up when we're browsing the internet, all the short videos, sponsored ads on Instagram and everything. People write this content before they turn them to video ads, before they turn them to jingles and all of that. People write it, and these people are copywriters. So you could become an ad copywriter for a company, for an organization. You could even write web copies, or for company websites and all of that. So it's a very good field to them. Blogging is very good too. You could become the next Linda Ikeji or Bella Naija, so Uche Pedro. So blogging is also very rich and is vast, and blogging is good because you could do it on your own. You could probably open a WordPress site. I have a WordPress site. I've had it for like 8 years. So you could open it on your own. You could open a free site. The only thing is that ads will keep popping up, and then you could open a paid site. You could literally establish yourself in this field. Open a blog. You could update it into a paid site much later. You could take money from people to advertise for them. You find ways to drive traffic to your blog, get people to write content. You write your own content, get people to pay to even host their content on your own blog. So blogging is also a very good field. And of course, you could become a journalist. Journalists are also creating content, so you could become a journalist. We already know what journalism is about. Journalists are creating content. Then you could become a brief writer. That's for lawyers. I don't know if you've heard about it, but sometimes many of these award-winning cases that we hear about, it's not really the lawyer that writes the brief. And it's okay, it's fine. There are lawyers that probably don't have the time or do not really have the know-how, to create their own briefs. There are lawyers that can actually argue the brief much more than they can create it. So if you're a lawyer, you could become a brief writer. If you're a lawyer and you're in content creation, you write people's briefs for them. Briefs are just like court processes that you file. So maybe somebody has a lawsuit they want to start. You could be the one that creates all those originating process for them. You do the arguments, the written address, the final processes, everything, and they pay you well. I have heard that people are being paid in the tunes of millions, for brief writing. So it's perfectly okay. It's not illegal, so long as you tidy up your paperwork and all of that. Now you could become a grant writer. You write grants and proposals for people, for organizations, for startups, for small businesses, SMEs, and all of that. So sometimes many of these people, they want to apply to international grants, and they have an idea of what they want to use the money for and why they should be the ones who win the grant. But it's not all the time that they know how to express themselves. So you could literally become a grant writer, write proposals, and they will pay you well for SMEs, for startups, for individuals even that are applying for grants. And of course, you could become a news writer. There are so many opportunities in content creation, but I'll stop at news writing. You could become a news writer. A news writer is the person that writes the news. It's not necessarily, that when you're watching the news on TV, they read it. Either they read it on a projected screen, or they actually read it from their paper their papers that they are holding. So the people that read the news to us are not necessarily the people that wrote the news. So I don't know if you've ever come across a situation whereby maybe the news anchor stumbled on maybe a few lines because they probably did not read it ahead of time, or maybe they weren't can that person mute themselves rather. So maybe they weren't expecting that line and then they just stumble on it. So you could become a news writer. You be the one to write the news, the final news that would be read out on TV or radio. So that's content creation too. So it's a vast field, if you ask me. We cannot enumerate all the opportunities that are there in content writing, but I hope that you're either already in one of these fields or you're looking at it. So these things are very easy. If you go online, do some research about them, take short courses, speak to people and practice them. Content creation is all about practice. Before you know it, you become an established content creator in this field. So those are areas that you can look at. Now let's talk about the art of content creation. How do you find it? Are we still with me? Let's have some feedback. So let's talk about the art of content creation. How do you find your art as a content creator? I know that they say that some things are gifts, talents, and some things are acquired. But for content creation, thank you very much, you're still with me. I think that for content creation it can be both. So you could have the gift and you could acquire it by learning, by hard work, by diligence, by committing yourself to it. So developing your art as a creator starts by starting. That's the first point. You have to start by actually creating the content. Start by writing. Write it. And there are so many things you can write. You can start by writing from your personal experience. I know that there was a time that, so for me, I write fiction, I write non-fiction, I write essays, articles, I do academic writing, I write applications for people who are applying to further studies. I do social media content creation for a few businesses, so I basically I write poems. So I write a lot. I contribute to magazines, online newspaper publications, a whole lot. And so like I was saying, you can start. If you're looking for where to start and you're not sure, start by writing from your personal experience. Write about the things that have happened to you. It's very important. You don't have to send it out when you're just starting, but it will spur you to write more. I said something a while ago. I said that how you remember that when I'm saying writing, I'm still talking about content creation. So how you actually get better at this thing is by actually doing it. So what you do daily, what you continue to do, it gets better, it keeps getting better. So you can write from personal experience, you can write, and then you can do subject matter content creation. Like you could just decide that, okay, I want to write about the rate of abortion. Okay, I want to write about abortion generally. So how do you start when you want to write about abortion? You just go online, look at it. What is abortion? Look at your dictionary. What is abortion? Then you look at people's views about abortion. So you can come from a religious view, come from a socio-political view, come from an economic view, come from a medical view. Just do research, put 2 and 2 together, and then you have something. So if you cannot write about personal experience, you can write from research. You can write subject matter writing. So there's something I wrote a few years ago. I wrote it about I know it's still online. I wrote it about recycling. I think the title is killing two birds with a stone. Recycling. So actually, initially I had written the original essay. I had written it for a competition. I think I did not hear from them. So I now rewrote it and sent it to a publication outlet. They published it for me. The editor asked to meet me. When we met, it was like, in fact, a professor of Greek had contacted him that he needed my phone number, that he wanted to contact me and discuss the essay further. Now I'm a lawyer. At the time I wrote that, I was a law student. I'd say that I know practically next to nothing about recycling, but I did my research. I went online. I studied recycling. I studied what is recycling, how is it done. Then I niched into plastic recycling, and because I had to tell a story, I cooked up one cock and bull story, and I fixed recycling into it. Several years later, when I shared it on another platform, somebody approached me and said that he was interested in the recycling business. That the things I wrote, did they really happen to me? That they wanted to partner with me, to start a business in recycling. I do not know anything about recycling. This thing is just content. I just created it. So I'm just trying to let you know that I had to tell them that, oh no, it didn't happen to me. I don't have any recycling business, please. It's just a figment of my imagination and a product of research. So I'm just trying to let you know that you can always write. If you do not have personal experience, you can do research. You can choose content, subject matter, writing, and everything. So I said you start by writing. Another thing you can do to develop your art as a content creator is to write all the time. Write all the time. It's very important. I've seen places where they encourage you to write a certain number of words per day. It hasn't worked for me, but it could work for you. So you could dedicate, because I know that we're all busy, but if you want to, you could say that, okay, I'm going to write maybe 300 words every day. If you're writing a novel, for instance, you could say, I'm going to write 300 words every day. And then you keep at it. So, and that's how you develop your creative process. Because we're talking about the art of content creation. Is when you're writing, that's when you will find out that, okay, I think I write better at night. I think I write better where there's noise or where there's silence. Or I think I write better when I've eaten or when I'm hungry. So, but you cannot know these things except you practice it. So, write all the time. Write anywhere, write everywhere. We all have mobile phones now. Jot things down as they come to you on the go. There's that magic that comes to all of us when we're in the shower or we're in the toilet or we're cooking or washing plates. Jot those things down on your mobile phone, the notes section. Just put these things down for you to develop them later. So please write all the time. Then another thing I'd like to tell you about developing your art is try out all types of writing. Don't limit yourself at first. If you're just starting out, don't just say, okay, I'm just going to write fiction, or I just want to write hard copies, or I just want to be a news writer, or I'm just going to be a playwright. Try everything that you can. I always like to remind myself of this story. I know that when I was taking music classes in school, they talked about I don't know if it's J.F. Handel or Beethoven, one of these musicians that went deaf at the end of their life because they had played so much music. I think it was maybe keyboard or the guitar. No, not the guitar, maybe keyboard or something, one of those instruments. They played it so much that they lost their sense of hearing. Some of them played it so much that their fingers became numb at the end of their lives. So I always imagine that, is there actually anything I can do so much that I would actually lose? No, I don't want to lose it, but I'm saying that that's like somebody gave themselves their all. So I'm going to try as much as possible, because they say that even the people that actually use their God-given abilities, we've been told that we don't even use 1/4 of it before we die. So I'm the kind of person that told myself early on that I'm just going to do everything I'm capable of doing. I will do everything I'm capable of writing, every content I'm capable of creating. I'm going to create it. Not even minding, will it be received, or will people like it, and everything. That's not my business at the first instance. The first thing is for me to create it. Once you create it, it will find its own market. It will find its own way. So try out all types of writing. Write poems, write stories, write fiction, write essays, articles, enter essay competitions, start a blog, start your own vlog, your podcast, curate content on your Instagram handles. Write pieces, opinion pieces, and send it to newspapers, to magazines. That's how to establish your art. If an editor rejects your work today, they will probably give a reason. Then you go in another direction. You rewrite it, or you resend it to another outlet. So please, try out all types. Do not restrain yourself at first. So write, create, and create. Create your skits, create your draw your pictures, all manner of content. Then another thing that can help you to develop your art of content creation is take short courses. I keep saying this because it's important and it has helped me. I took a short course on writing fiction in 2016, and it helped me a lot. Before I finished that course, we had to write about 2 or 3 stories. I'm telling you that I used those stories later on in life. Like, I just developed them. So you take courses on content creation. They are all over the place. Go to Future Learn. Go to all these online training sites. They are free courses. Even if you don't want to pay, they are free courses. So take those courses. They will make you better. Then when you take those courses, you would meet course mates. For those ones that have discussion sessions, you will meet course mates that are probably facing what you're facing, or that are like-minded. They will encourage you. They will spur your creativity. So please do it. Then another thing, I mentioned that earlier, enter competitions. It's very important. It will help you. Your goal might not be to win, But many of the writings that I started with, that I published, that got me noticed, there are things I wrote for essay competitions that I did not win, or maybe that I was longlisted and not shortlisted, or shortlisted and did not win. So enter those competitions, even if you don't want to write, because they give you a deadline. So they give you an idea of, I have to do this thing, I have to do this thing. So you write it, you create the content. Enter video competitions, enter writing competitions. Just try out your heart, try it out. That's how it develops. Start your own blog. You can host a free blog on WordPress, on what's the other one, blog post, or what's the other one. So please, you can start your own blog, write until, and you will keep getting better. You come to a point that you look at the things you wrote 10 years later, and you be like, am I the one that wrote this? Am I the one that created this kind of shitty content? But it just starts from starting out. So please start out. Start your own vlog. The internet has made it a very wide space for everybody. There's literally nothing you cannot do. And you'll be surprised that the things that you think don't make sense, that's what people will like. That's what will gain you traction online. And then, of course, the last point I want to give under developing your art is, after you've tried everything, you begin to find out which one is easier to me. I think I like document review more. I think I like playwriting more. I think I like ghostwriting more. I don't want my name on things that I write. I want to ghostwrite for others. I want to understudy other people, look at how their mind is working, understand their story, and then write out what they cannot write for themselves. That's what I want to be, a ghostwriter. I want to be a news writer. I want to write the news. I don't necessarily want to be on the screen, but I want to create that content for people to. I want to be an ad copywriter. I want to be a corporate communications manager. I want to help people manage their communications with their clients, with their customers. Those things are very important. So you niche gradually. You create a niche. As you find, which one do I like better? Which one comes more naturally to me? Which one stresses me less? Then you niche, and then you find that you're now a round peg in a round hole. That's the art of content creation. How about the business of content creation? What will people pay you for? That's the business. How do you make a business out of content creation? If you've developed your art, then you're ready to create a business. The first thing is to map out your clientele. Who are the people that will pay me? And it's almost always, you can almost always tell the people that will pay you. So you go and meet them. If a video content, for example, if you're a skit maker now, that's content creation. If you're a skit maker, is LinkedIn really the right place for you to be? Like, should you focus all your energy on LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube? You decide. So map out your clientele. Where will I make the most money? If you're a skit maker, if that's your content, for instance, you could open your own YouTube channel. That's easy money. All you need to do is drive traction for you to get the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours for you to be monetized and start making money on YouTube. Or you go to Instagram, drive traction to your Instagram page. People will watch it. You tag people that are already established. You collaborate with people that are already established. And once you get your own clientele, once you get your followership, brands will come for you to advertise for them. People will pay for you to advertise for them. You create, that's mapping out your clientele. Where are the people that will pay me? Where are they? Then you go and you meet them. That's how to create a business out of your content. I've met many people, they write poems, but they are saying they don't want to show their poems to the world. I know, let me not say I've met. I know that there are people that say that they don't want to show their poems to the world. Or they don't think their story is good enough, so they don't want to show it. No, that's not going to work in the 21st century. This is 2021. You have to go out there and put your work out. Okay? That's how to create a business out of your content creation. You put your work out. Let people know this is what I do. And the surest platform. The surest platform is social media. The surest platform is social media. You could apply to work as a content creator. These advertisements are all over the place. I applied to, I was on Instagram at some point after I'd started my own outfit. And then I saw that there was a position for a creative writer. I applied to it. They asked me to write an essay. I wrote it. They interviewed me. Then they asked me to write, do further samples. And I worked with that organization for 2 years. They paid me good money. I was making money on the side. I was making money from my main job, but I had that job. They just required like 4 or 5 hours a day. And it wasn't even like straight 4 or 5 hours. It was like as soon as you can get it done. But they gave me deadlines. Oh, this one under 7 days, this one 24 hours. And I was able to meet up. There are things that I could do on my phone on the go. There are things I could do on my laptop. I made good money for 2 years before I moved on from that organization. And the good thing about content creation is that once you've been able to master it, it doesn't go away from you. So it's a transferable skill. So if you apply to work as a news writer in one, for instance, in one news station or TV station now, by the time you leave, you already have that. You've built a portfolio. Whether you leave or whether they fire you or anything happens, when you move to your next job, that skill remains with you. You don't leave it with them. That's the beauty in content creation. So apply to work in these places. There are so many part-time content creation jobs. People have an idea of what they want to put out, but they don't know how to. You are the content creator that will help them bring their abstract ideas to life. So go on social media, look for these opportunities. They are all around you. Share your work on your WhatsApp status. Don't let it be just for memes, other people's memes. Share your work. If you've opened a blog, post something, put the link on your WhatsApp status. If you're just starting out as a content creator, in fact, bullying will work for you. You bully your friends and family into sharing your links. If you start your own YouTube channel, you share the link on your group page, your family group page or something. You bully people into sharing it for you, people that are close to you. And that's how your work will, that's how you will make a business out of it. Because the people that you're sharing with immediately may not be people that will pay, but they are the ones that will recommend you to people that will pay. I've got many of my clients as Houseoflivingstones from recommendations. People just come to me, oh, we heard that you worked at so. Oh, this person recommended you. They said you're very good at what you do. So recommendations, but how will people know if you don't put your work out? Share your work. Then how to make a business out of your content creation also is that you could do it part-time, you could do it okay, when I say part-time now, I mean that you could just be a freelance content creator, or you could actually standardize and have your own outfit. If you're having your own outfit, it will be important for you to have an email like I do. You could register the business. My business is registered now with the Corporate Affairs Commission, but it's not necessary. It's not really necessary, but you could. The reason why I had to register my own business was that a company, I had this contract with a company. They wanted me to develop very large content for their website, like a lot of things, a very big scope of work. And then they wanted me to sign an NDA, that's a non-disclosure agreement. And then they wanted to know, I told them Houseoflivingstones, they wanted to know that, oh, is this your official, like, is your company registered? So that if anything happens, can we sue you as Houseoflivingstones? Or is it your name? So that was when I realized that I had to register my business. So I had to put my name in that contract, because they needed to know the person they can sue if anything happens. So that's how I had to register. I'm just saying that you can register your own business too, if you want to actually standardize it like that. But if you want to be freelance, you just do what comes by, it's fine. But create an email, have an opening message, a welcoming message. Hello, thank you for contacting me, this and that, or blah blah blah, and a closing this thing. It makes you look very standard. Then develop your social media presence. Let people know that that's what you do. Don't let it be that when that company I'm telling you about, they found me on LinkedIn actually. They found me on LinkedIn. So networking, many of us think that networking is you go to an event, then you stay back after the event has closed and you start talking to strangers that you don't know about. Start pitching yourself to them. That's networking, but it's not necessarily about that again. This is the 21st century. This is 2021. Networking happens on social media too. You put your work out there. Somebody makes a comment. You like the comment. You people get talking. They're in your DM before you know it. But how will you attract these people if you don't put your work on social media? if people don't know that that's what you do. I'm a lawyer, but people know that I'm a content creator. You could be an engineer, you could be a pharmacist, you could be a doctor, you could be an architect or something, but people must know that you are also a content creator, and they must understand what you do, so that they won't keep bringing you lyric work when you're actually an academic writer. It's also important for you not to get ill-fitting opportunities, because it will be paining you all the time, if I might use Nigerian lingo. So then you could create a card, an e-card, business card. Just share it. You can put it on your profile every now and then. Put your portfolio together, the things that you've published, the things that you've done. Put it together in one place, maybe in a zip folder on your laptop, that if any opportunity opens, you can just send it to them for them to view it. Or if you have a blog, you can put it on your blog. So one link click and people can see the best of your works. That's your portfolio. Then apply to roles. I know that many creatives use Upwork, Fiverr, all those things for content creation. I don't use them, but if it's something that you know how to get a hang of, please, you can use them, and you can make good money too. You can make good money from those places too. And then talk about your experience, like your testimonials, what people have said about your kind of content. When you've worked with this person, what's their reaction, what's their response? You talk about those things. Establish an online presence, so that when they are looking for content creator in your field, in your niche, that's if you've niched. If you've not, it's fine. When they probably Google, it will bring you out. So that's how to monetize your content creation. Are we still together, please? That's how to monetize your content creation. Then how do you create invaluable content? I want to take the keywords of the title one by one, so like a school lecturer. How do you create invaluable content? There's one thing I always tell people: write from your heart. When I say write, I mean content creation. So create from your heart, then you edit with your head. Did we get that? Are we still together? Create from your heart, then edit with your head. That means that when you write, that sometimes when you're writing, when you're creating content, there's a rush of inspiration that comes to you. You want to say everything all at once. But when you edit with your head, you're now looking at which one is contextually appropriate, which one fits the purpose. That's how to make your content invaluable. Then you do your research. Like I told you, that thing I wrote about recycling. I don't know jack about recycling, but I did my research and I wrote it. That's not the first time. I've written stuff about for people that are in the agric field. I've written for people that are in the medical field. I've written for people that are in the legal field, aspects that I do not practice in, but I do my research. There's virtually no content you cannot create with research, adequate research. So do your research. It's very important. That's how to make your content invaluable. Do your research. It will help you to keep you up to date. So you won't be talking about a 1999 procedure for doing something when there's already a 2020 procedure. Then rewrite. Learn to rewrite. It's very important. Don't be in such a hurry to shoot out your content that you do not rewrite. So I was a judge for a creative writing contest, something of the sort. And there was this lady's work that I read. It probably would have been a great piece of work, but there were too many mistakes. I don't know if she did not edit it before sending it out, or if that's actually her English language ability. So it's important for you to rewrite, to edit things for yourself. If you want to run it by a third party, you can do it. Just make sure they are not people that will steal your intellectual property and go and publish it behind you. So rewrite, re-edit your work before you put it out. Make sure you're putting out your best content. That's what makes it invaluable. Then find your creative juice. Understand your creative process. What makes you write well? When do you write well? If you have a deadline, for instance, you have a 1 week deadline, how does your own work? Do you get up on the last day and then write everything? Or do you work by writing piece by piece every day until you have one wholesome piece. So find your creative juice. What works best for you? Do you write better at night? Do you write better in the day? Do you write better when you're hungry or when you're eating chocolate? So then find your creative juice. And there's a place for inspiration. I'm not going to deny that, because many of content creators are mostly inspired, but of course it can be acquired too. You can acquire it and the inspiration will now rest on it. So understand how you are inspired, what inspires you, and then work in that line. Then pay attention to details. Like I've said, that's how to make your content invaluable. Pay attention to details. If you're writing, if it's written content, for instance, you have to look at your subject verb agreement. No, don't put have when you should put as, or add, plural, singular, simple short sentences. If you're writing web copies, ad copies, for instance, for people, web copies rather, you have to go and learn your keyword optimization, so that you up your client's SEO game will be very tight, and they won't have to be paying extra for that. If they have to be paying extra for that, they might not necessarily come to you again. So if you're a copywriter, you need to study these things. You need to know how to choose catchy topics, titles, if you're writing stories or articles, things that will draw people into your content. That's how to make your content invaluable. And lastly, as we're pressed for time, you share your content. Your content is invaluable as soon as you create it, but there's more value when you share it to the right audience. So it's very important. Sharing your content online is like your best bet today, because you don't know who is looking at it from where. The online space is so vast. There are people that will encounter your content that won't say jack to you. They won't even like it, probably, if it's a post or something. But they are going to send it to their friend, or send it to their family member, or send it to their boss, to somebody that needs it, who will then contact you for an opportunity. Or they are just going to register it in their mind. The day you apply to their company, or the day you have to work with them, they will remember that thing that you did. So it's important to share your work. Share it on your social media channels. Share it online. Share it offline. Share your work. And that's the art and the business of invaluable content creation from my end. I hope you learned a thing or two. I'm going to hand over to Joy right now. Thank you so much for listening. I'm hoping you're still there.
Thank you so much. As you were teaching, I was just smiling. I was just smiling to myself, because it's very, very, very obvious the amount of opportunities that exist in the content creation world. I mean, to think that you only talked about writing, and there's the part of videos, there's the part of audios, there's the part of infographics. Companies pay people a lot of money to present data, in infographics.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I have a friend who owns a company that does that.
Yeah, that's right.
All they do is infographics, give them the data, they turn it to infographics, and they put it out there.
Exactly.
So it's just funny how the opportunities are endless. And the funny thing, it is actually not difficult to start. I mean, even if you don't have a website, of us are on Facebook. So someone like me, I started content creation by writing on Facebook. That was where I started writing from before I got my website and all those things, And another thing again I want to mention is, in Nigeria, let me just say, because of the lack of exposure, there's so many things that we take for granted. And this writing stuff is one of the things I would say that we take for granted. And I'll give us an instance. So there was an opportunity I applied for, and in all of the questions they were asking me, they asked me for my volunteering experience, they asked me for my internship experience. So they actually expect that before I got into maybe paid employment or starting my business, I should somehow, I should have interned somewhere or even volunteered my time towards a course, And then when I told them that, I'm actually a digital media consultant, they were like, okay, can we see any of your works? I had to put everything together, send them links to all my ebooks, send them links to my website, my personal website, even send them links to other websites that they featured on, Bella Nigeria and the rest. Guys, these things are things that people take for granted, but you see these little things, they can open doors of opportunities for you. And really, when people say, oh, I want to get known, I want people to know me for what I do, start putting out content. It's as easy as ABC. You know, it's really funny when people tell you this, when people say these things, and you feel like, oh, they don't want to tell me what they're doing. No, that's what they're doing.